Welcome back, Odooers. In a previous video, we covered recording bank transactions and bank synchronization. If you haven't already, be sure to check that out. Once you've recorded your bank transactions in Odoo, it's important to reconcile them. Bank reconciliation is a process of validating your bank transactions, whether that's via matching them to existing invoices, bills, and payments, or via manually matching to an account. Either way, Odoo makes it easy. Let's take a look. Bank transactions create journal entries, so let's take a look at some of these journal entries to better understand them. To do that, we'll open the accounting application, and we'll go to Accounting and Journal Entries. Here, we can simply search for our bank journal, and we can click into this entry, for example, and see the different journal items that are involved. So here we have one debit to the bank account, which means that this is money coming into our bank account. And we have one credit to balance it that hits the suspense account. This is the case for all incoming bank transactions, whereas with outgoing bank transactions, the only difference is that the debits and the credits will be switched. By default, the suspense account here acts as a temporary holding account until the transaction is reconciled, at which point the suspense account is replaced with the account of the counterpart item, or in the case of manual matching, the selected account. So let's take a look at the next journal entry to see that. Here we have a reconciled transaction, and we can see that because of the reconciled items smart button and the fact that the suspense account has been switched out for, in this case, the account receivable customers. Now that we have an understanding of how journal entries are affected by reconciling bank transactions, let's take a look at how bank reconciliation looks in Odoo. From the accounting dashboard, I could click on this Forward to Reconcile button to see only my unreconciled transactions, or the Transactions button to see all of my transactions in this journal. We'll click Transactions, and here we can see all of the transactions for this bank journal. And these more recent transactions at the top are unreconciled, and we have different action buttons to select from to reconcile them. The buttons in purple are the suggested actions, which prompt the next logical step. For example, if there's no partner set on the transaction, Odoo will suggest setting one, or writing it off directly with the Set Account button. If the partner has open invoices, bills, or payments, Odoo will suggest the Reconcile button, where you can choose to match the transaction with one of those records. If the partner doesn't have any open records, Odoo suggests matching directly with the receivable or payable account, depending on if it's an incoming or outgoing transaction. And of course, you can always click on the vertical ellipses menu to see the full list of actions available, including reconciliation models, which are covered in detail in another video. Below these unreconciled transactions, we can see that most of our transactions have already been reconciled because we see that the suggested action buttons have been replaced with a check mark and the name of the record or account that the transaction has been matched with. To simplify the reconciliation process, Odoo has a hard-coded match rule by default. If 2 out of 3 elements of a transaction's partner, label, and amount match those of an invoice, bill, or payment, Odoo matches them automatically. Let's reconcile these transactions and see that matching rule in action. We'll start with the top one, where we can see we don't have a partner set, and the label looks like it isn't using the structured format, so it's not a perfect match. For this first transaction, we'll just add the correct partner by clicking Set Partner, and we'll search for Oasis Garden Design. And you can see it automatically matched with the correct invoice because 2 elements, the partner and the amount, are perfect matches. For the next 2, since we have the partner set, but we don't have any existing invoices or bills for these partners, Odoo suggests writing them off directly to the receivable and payable accounts. We'll click Receivable for the incoming transaction, and for the outgoing transaction, let's click on the vertical ellipsis button, and here we have the option to directly upload a vendor bill. We have another video on digitizing vendor bills that shows all the cool features involved there, so be sure to check it out. For now, we will just use this payable button. Next, we have one transaction with the payment references for multiple invoices. No problem. We'll click reconcile. And at the top, we have both the label from the transaction, so we can compare it with the invoices, and we also have the balance. And as we select which invoices we want to match with this transaction, we can see that the remaining balance updates and is going to drop all the way to 0, which helps us confirm that we're definitely matching the correct invoices. We'll click select to save that. And the last transaction that we want to look at is from Garden Designs BE. And here we can see that it is already reconciled, but we can expand that line, and then we can click on the info icon to get more details. So we see this was matched with invoice 50, even though it wasn't a perfect match because the difference was within the permitted tolerance range. This allows us to automatically handle small differences that are often attributed to processing fees. We can also click on the pencil icon to edit the transaction. And here we have the option to mark it as fully paid. We always have the option to go back to recording a partial payment if we want, but we'll leave it as fully paid. And when we save, we'll see that we now have some action buttons back because we need to decide how to handle the remaining €9. We'll click on that vertical ellipsis button again and choose Set Account. Here we're going to search for a miscellaneous expense account, miscellaneous operating charges, and we'll select that, and we are fully reconciled again. The last thing that we want to cover in this video is how to edit and unreconcile transactions. As we saw in the last example, we can expand a line and then click on the pencil icon to edit a match. There, we can edit the balance, or we can switch between a partial and full payment. We'll discard this, and we can also delete a match or a reconciliation entirely by clicking on the trash icon. This doesn't delete the transaction itself, but it breaks the match, so now we can choose a different way to reconcile the remaining amount here. That's all for this video on bank reconciliation. Be sure to check out our other videos on bank transactions, vendor bill digitization, and bank reconciliation models. This has been your pal Dal. I'll see you in the next one.